Hello, welcome back to a Spiritual Ascension, my own 5-year journey, where I'm telling my entire story of my 5-year ascension journey from April 2020 to April 2025. Um, I'm laughing because I'm nervous because this now gets harder and harder as I'm going along. And I guess because like I have never told anyone this story. So you guys are the first to really um, to kind of get the full details of what happened to me over the last 5 years. So me speaking it now is, I know it's healing for me. I think that's another reason why the divine wanted me to do this at this time, but also um, to help you guys to understand the things that you may go through. Again, your story is going to be totally different than my story. What you go through is going to be totally different than what I go through, but just understanding that this is not going to be an easy journey. Okay. So, last video, and hopefully, if you're coming into this now, please go back to the intro video. I have a whole separate playlist. Start at the intro and go in chronological order because you'll kind of like um will kind of understand what's going on as I tell the story. So when we left off, I had so bear with me because this does it's now exactly 3 years that I've been on this journey from April 2020, and it's now April 30th of 2023. So as my last video says, April 30th, for some reason, seems to be a very significant date for me. I told you guys in the last one about this dream that I had where I was in a parking garage and there was this couple standing in front of me, kind of having a conversation. And I was walking towards them. And then all of a sudden I looked over and I saw my father, who is now in spirit, but I saw my father sitting in our old station wagon. And he called me over and I went and got in the back seat of the car. And it was this feeling of he was taking me somewhere. Okay. So now when I look back at it, I can see that the first 3 years of my journey was about the elimination process in a way. I hadn't really, even though I had started the journey, the true meat of that journey hadn't started until this time now. So that was kind of only a preview of what I was about to go through. Um, I think too, it was now those first 3 years were about me eliminating the baggage. Okay. Like I said, talk about minimalizing, I say that right? Minimalizing your life, the things in your life, your material things, um, and also probably moving away from friends, relationships, and family. Yes. And as you'll see later on, there is a reason for that. So, um, in the last video, I said that it was around just before 4 o'clock on April 30th that the divine opened a portal for me to be able to leave that house without the person I had been renting an apartment with to be there because I knew I wouldn't be able to leave without a big commotion and everything. And um, I had just a few bags with me of essentials, I had a backpack with like my laptop and iPad in it. And then I had like a crossover bag with like my wallet and um, phone that I kept in there. I had an old iPhone that I like when I worked on Wall Street. I used to be the one that got the new iPhone every year, the latest and greatest. And so when I had landed at that family member's house, and then I wasn't able to pay for my phone bill, I still had my last iPhone. So for some reason, I took that with me, and it probably still had a lot of information in it. It was raining pretty hard when I left the house, and I had no idea where I was going. And it's putting everything on faith. And the only place I knew to go was the train station that I had actually been taking the train from that town to the next town to go to work previously every day. So I said, I don't know where to go. I know that there's a covering there. It was a Sunday. So I also knew things were going to be closing. I didn't have any money really um, to go sit in a restaurant or like McDonald's or anything. And actually, there wasn't really any right around that area. So I just went to the train station. I have no idea. And in my mind, I'm thinking that somehow, some way, Spirit's going to send someone to help me. And so I got to the train station and just sat like on the bench. And oops, I forgot to start my time. I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure I like to keep these like under 20 minutes so I don't lose you guys. Um, so that was around 4 o'clock. And I also didn't want to use my phone too much because I didn't know when I could charge it again. So the rain started to get heavier and heavier and heavier. And it was kind of whipping, you know? And across the train tracks, I saw, I don't know if they have these around where you're at, like a kind of a shelter booth where you can sit and it's kind of surrounded by glass on kind of like three and a half sides so that you're kind of protected by the rain and wind and everything. I only had on, I didn't dress probably properly for that day. I had on um, a t-shirt, I believe, um, like a hoodie, a black hoodie, I remember. And then I had on a pretty good black rain jacket, and that had a hood. But it was thin, you know. So was getting now, it was May 1st, and it was still kind of chilly at night. And that rain and cold was getting to be really seriously kind of cold. So I went across the tracks and I sat in that place hoping that I could get protected from the rain. But the rain was still kind of coming in there and I was kind of getting wet and soaked and just kind of freezing at that point. Um, I probably ended up staying there till about 6:30. And I'm like, okay, can't just sit here like nothing's happening. I'm saying, no, Spirit, please send me help. And nothing's happening. So I said, I had one more, no, I had two more train tickets still. I think you buy like a 10 pack or whatever, and I had two train tickets left. And something made me say, let me take the next train over back to the next town. Um, and maybe in some way I could find more shelter over where that is. And I took the train over there, and there was a Dunkin' Donuts not too far from there, and I went to the Dunkin' Donuts. By the time I got there, they were only open, I think, for like another hour. So I probably got there, say, around 7, and they were closing at like 8. So I was able to kind of sit, charge my phone for like an hour. And they were cleaning up. So it was even before 8 o'clock that kind of I felt like I needed to leave. And as I was coming off the train, I had noticed there was a parking garage nearby. Now I've seen that parking garage many times, but now it was kind of like, oh, in my dream, I was in a parking garage. So I'm saying maybe Spirit's telling me to go to the parking garage for like kind of protection from like the weather, you know. Um, so right around just before 8 o'clock, I headed over to the parking garage. It was now dark. It was Sunday night, so most people were kind of off the streets and everything. And it was still raining like really hard. And didn't realize that the parking garage was so open and that there was big gaps in the wall area where the concrete, where the rain was kind of just, you know, and the wind was just coming in. And there was no space to really kind of duck and hide. And yeah, here I am, like, I don't know where else to go. I've never been in this situation where I had to, like, I'm on the street for the first time in my life. So even in like the stairwells, I was afraid that if someone came up or down the stairwell, that they would see me sitting there. And I ended up deciding to kind of go, like cars were pulled in, go into the front um, of a car between the wall and like the hood of a car and kind of duck down there and just I sat with my back against the wall and kind of the rain was coming and wind was coming above me. I had my umbrella, so I kind of was able to put that over me. I can't believe I'm telling you guys this. I guess like if you, let me say when like say children are born into certain situations and that's all they know. I've never been in that type of situation where all of a sudden I'm out on the street and I had no idea what to do, you know? And um, sat down on the ground and I think I put something down on the ground so like, you know, my butt wouldn't get wet. Or I was sitting on my pack or something like that. And just kind of got in between the car and the wall. And it didn't seem to be too bad there. And then pretty soon, kind of the rain started to kind of come over and drench me. So I kind of said, well, let me get up, little net, and see if I could find a better spot because the rain was coming in so much. And I walked around, and it was kind of those lights where, what do you call motion lights? So, and then they had cameras in there. So, of course, when I got up to move, all the lights came on. And I'm saying, oh, I better stay still because, like, I don't know if there's people watching the cameras or whatever like that. So I had walked around and um, I couldn't find any better spot. So I went back to where I was. I think there was just that car. maybe, was there another car, two cars on either side? I think there was just that car, but I was towards the one side where there was another car. And it got to be around, 10 o'clock came and then 11 o'clock came. I was trying to doze off and I was, getting wet, but it wasn't extremely bad, but it was bad enough. And I was cold, which I'll get to that whole thing too, later on. Um, Probably around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, somewhere around there. I heard a car coming up the rampway and all the lights, came on. And it was a huge parking lot, so there was plenty of parking spaces, empty parking spaces. But this car of all spaces decides to pull in two spaces away from where I was. And I sat there kind of frozen, and they couldn't see me where I was. But I'm saying to myself, okay, they're probably, because there was a lot of apartments across the street. And I said, they're probably, going to get out the car and, go home. Because a lot of people seem like they parked in there, but lived in the apartments across the street. So I waited a couple of minutes, and then I could hear that it was a young man and woman, and they started just to kind of have a conversation. Now, if you remember back to my dream, I was under a parking garage, right? And I was walking towards a man and woman who were speaking, right? So they were sitting in the car and they were talking and it started to be a long time. So I said, well, any moment they'll say, okay, we had our conversation. Let's go in the house now and go to bed. And it was a Sunday night, so I knew people wouldn't be really coming out to their cars to go out anywhere. Probably had to go to work the next day. So I was pretty sure that I was safe where I was. Um, oh my goodness. Anyway, about an hour or so went by and they're still having conversation. And then I kind of soon hear them kind of getting into, if you know what I'm talking about. And they seem to be young, like early 20s or so from their voices. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I chose this place of all places to hide. And these people chose this spot right by me when there was all these hundreds of other spaces they could have chosen, right? So it was kind of like my dream was manifesting, but didn't expect that part of it. So they were in a car and going at it. And I knew like I didn't want to get up because if I got up, the lights would go on, right? So I had to like just sit there. Afterwards, afterwards, um, the guy gets out of the car and I knew where I was that they couldn't see me unless he and either of them went towards the wall because if they looked along the wall, I was right there in front of the car. He gets out of the car and he goes towards the wall and he turns away from me and decides to urinate. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going from bad to worse. But now I know that once he turns around to go back to the car, he's gonna see me sitting right there. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So And that's exactly what happened. As soon as he turned around after he was done, he turned around and saw me. And I gathered my things up really quick and I kind of huddled over and I just zoomed out of there. All the lights went on. It was horrible. And just went down the stairs, back out into the rain, and had no idea now where to go. I'm going to leave it there because that was enough for one video. But just showing you too that to listen to your dreams, to, really acknowledge your dreams. And if you haven't done so already, to start keeping a dream journal because your dreams probably are trying to tell you different things, different aspects. I am really good with my gifts of interpreting dreams. So if you do come across anything that you would like help on, please seek me out. Again, I'm a psychic medium. I do readings. And if you just like to talk to me about your own journey, have questions, there is a link below to book time with me. Okay. That was a doozy. So I'm going to leave that video there so I could recover from now on. And I'll see you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe. Okay.